Man, I sure am learning a lot about lighting doing this, like in the lighting in the house and stuff like that, and how lighting, certain lights will hit, and it's crazy. It's stuff would have never learned if I wouldn't have done this. But I'll tell you the downside of doing this. Like this side of my hair, I've caught a couple of glimpses, like, a picture from the side and how thin this has gotten on the side. Like I see it from the front, so I don't even see it as much on the side, but how much thinner it has gotten over on that side. It's like, oh my God, that part too is like, the way that they can interfere with our physicality. And I was thinking it's got to be something in the contract of coming in for this, like some of the stuff that we have to experience, like this is bullshit. And I'll tell you another thing, taking biotin, it will grow back the more tedious hairs as well, the ones that are more tedious to trim. Those will grow faster too. Like and it's really slow. I'm telling you, the only thing that I swear to God that keeps me going about it is that, because I had been taking care of my hair for a really long time. I had quit coloring it and all of that stuff. Like all of this stuff that happened during I was waking this morning, I was sitting there thinking, man, I think it's like over 6 years I've been celibate now. It's like as an adult, like 6 years. And that is even including not just going on frivolous dates and stuff. I mean, I went on a few, but that was way early on. And what was the thing was everything I would go do was like, oh, this just feels yuck. Like, and it kept being like this, just felt yuckier and yuckier. But, the more I went in one direction, the more that direction began to open up. So, and even if I'm still on the path, then, and that is one thing I was really in communication this morning with my guides. I was like, there was a bunch of stuff I was saying, like a bunch. And as something I wanted to say too, of something that they were saying. But, the hair thing still, I wanted to go back to that still. Because I'll go off on a whole another tangent, and I already feel like I've got some things I wanted to stay directed on. And one of them was, with the hair, and what keeps me going is just knowing those med beds, because I had already heard in 2020 when I was hearing more about them that they would grow hair back. Like not just grow it back, your hair can grow from short to long. Like you can grow years and years of length just in the time you're in there or something. There's something about you set stuff on a computer or whatever. And that one cartoon that I was talking about this whole interlink system with your computer, where your computer tells you and your computer shows your brain waves for the day. And then they can catch criminals by watching our brain waves. It's like, oh my God, don't tell me people would be that scared. Like, oh, please sign me up. Hook me up to the computer so you can read my brainwaves all day long. It's like, oh my God. And the benefits are, oh, and then this music comes on and you recognize. When you look at the screen, it tells you, it's like, oh my fucking God. I mean, people. Like, I mean, shit is getting creepier and creepier, I swear to God. And so on this hair thing, so this morning I saw this video, and this woman was really, really upset. Like, she was freaking upset, angry. Like, she was just spitting mad. And she had gone to the DMV, and so she wanted to talk about this DMV experience. And so she's up there, and she's waiting for the lady to print her thing out, and she's standing there waiting. And the woman who works behind the counter says, do you take collagen? And the lady thinks, oh, what are you trying to sell me something or something? And she's like, no, I don't. And she goes, oh, okay, well, I just saw that you had some hair loss, and that's what I take. And the woman was so fucking pissed and so offended. How motherfucking dare you? I mean, she's on reins on this on social media. And so she was, And I went in and read the comments. And to her, it was, she was very triggered. Man, that's going to drive me crazy. She was very triggered. And and that right there shows you. And then she starts going through, like her sicknesses, because she's got thyroid disease and she's been in her hair loss for 10 years. And how dare this woman say anything about it? Like, how rude to even talk about someone's physicality when you don't even know this person. And, that is so rude. And, she's just going on and on too about the victim, like her sickness. And what if I had cancer? What if this woman doesn't know what's wrong with me? And she's just assuming that she can say something like that. And so, she's ranting and stuff. And I'm just like, man, see, that right there is a very different perspective. That is a perspective coming to me, I would say, from an unhealed perspective. You received a trigger. The trigger, that's what you do with it. To me, that trigger would be telling me, I'm offended you don't think I take good enough care of myself. Which, if you're feeling that way, that someone's noticing, it's because you feel that inside. You feel like, I'm not taking good enough care of myself. And as soon as somebody notices, but you have this unwritten contract with everybody out in society that nobody better say a thing, and that you'll tend to gravitate towards other people who feel the same way as you. And so, and look at how social media has been able to make all these groups, these subgroups and groups and groups. And then they all find a leader, like it's Lord of the Flies, every group. And it's like, oh my God. And so, but it's also, there's two sides to every coin. There's also support. People need support. They find support, and they find people that they have something in common with. So, there's a positive to it. But, anyways, to me, okay, I can't even, I've got to fix this. I don't know. Do I have no depth perception or something? What the fuck is going on? What is that? I know I don't have very good depth perception. My eyes are just jacked. Oh my God. Speaking of hair, okay, so let's see if it can tame itself. So anyways, to me, that scenario would play out. I'd go up to the counter, and the lady was sitting there, and she would go, do you take collagen? I go, no, why do you? Have you, what about it? Is it good? Do you have good results? I'd want to know, what is your deal? And then she would say, well, I saw your hair was falling out, and that's what I take. Right there, that's bonding. This lady's getting so offended because she wasn't prepared, and she didn't, it was given to her as a trigger, because you're getting triggers all over the place right now, and you've got to look at them as gifts. But so if they would say that, then I would have been like, I know, God, it's driving me fucking crazy. I cannot believe it. It just keeps going. And I know it's these motherfucking phones. It is the radiation. I would have got to say, what I believe. And then she would have got to, say, she's looking for something and trying to share what's working for her. She's not just saying something rude. She's trying to share something that's working for her, because she's thinking that it's probably bothering you like it's bothering her, like it bothers most people. And there's it come up this pattern baldness or something. It's it's kind of funny how we're all just going bald right around here, right where we're facing the screens. It's weird, huh? Instead of facing nature and humans, are facing screens, and our hair's falling out because we're getting sick. I think that should be telling us something. But anyways, to me, that right there was so significant in coming at a situation as a healed person or an unhealed person. And the sad thing is, I don't know what her process would be. She could have gone through her rant, went to sleep, and her guides were on her and gave her the perspective that she needed to heal what she needed to heal. I can't say, I can't say, if people are going to keep failing through the different levels of the game until they get to the end of the game, where they go in and go back over all of their mistakes, I don't know. And I've seen other people now explaining the stuff just the way I explain it. And when I hear that kind of stuff, that to me is it's coming from out there, And this was another thing too, is because One thing I've noticed is, every time I'm trying to thinking like I'm gonna help somebody, I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna help them. Like somebody needs me to do something to help them. And that's never how it goes. It always ends up being a situation where I've got to, boundaries, I got to set boundaries. And it's so crazy because, that has been my issue. I mean, that was a part of my, destined path, coming from the household I was with boundaries and stuff and so it was always an issue. And like I said a million times, when I was in an unhealthy way of being, that I depended on men to be that stronger. When you go with those kind of men and you're dependent on them, there's a dark side to those things. And especially when people choose you to be like, when they don't see you, they choose you for a different reason than even when they think that they see you on the inside. They don't see you on the inside, because they're constantly telling you that you're not this way. Everything you do, you're not this way. You're not this. How am I not this way? But it's coming out of me. Like, what? Please make sense. So anyways, that's a whole nother thing. But that has been a big part of my healing, has been these constant kind of situations where I'm having to do things where I'm uncomfortable. And it's in those things are always taking care of me. What do I need? What is good for me? And those are very awkward, uncomfortable things to do, especially if you're a super sensitive person, that you're always worrying about everybody else's feelings. And this was one of the conversations. I've had a couple of conversations this morning with my guides, but in one of them, I was reminded of this, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. And I can't remember what the situation was, but it was so many times. Like, there was so many times I was getting just screwed over. And I gotta try and remember all these parts. And so then, in some conversation, I was like with them, it was like this place it would make you hard. It would make you a hardened kind of way. And I said, I don't want to be that. I don't want to turn into what this place wants you to be. And so I didn't bend to, distort myself. I didn't become an asshole back to people and stuff. But you will be pushed a lot. And one of the things that they showed me also this morning is in how that all works, is that you need to have that so that people can see themselves. Because if you don't have people that you are pushing, then you don't know how hard you're pushing. And, you always have to recognize yourself. And everything that you will be self-reflection, even if it is distorted at this point in time by using, distractions and toxic behaviors and stuff like that. There's no getting away from it. It's part of the end of the game. Like, you have to go in and go back over how things went. Like, how do you feel? How did it go? And a lot of people, they sit around watching to see, like, what was the repercussions? How did I help? How didn't I help? Who do I need to step in and help? Who do I need to whisper in their ear? We're surrounded by these spirits that leave the game. But the other thing that gets so weird is because there is no, where people get this idea of flesh and blood and spirit. Spirit is like an energy. It is a thought form. And, a little pop, because, oh my gosh, this morning I kind of got this other, I get where people are saying about demons. Like, I get what they're saying, and there is a lot of dark energy, and some of that dark energy is, mindless free energy. Some of it is, has been attached and has become its own negative kind of being, but still, they only have the frequency of that area. And a soul that is more advanced can't be, you can't mess with them as much. Like they come and, you know, stand in my face or try and stand, you know, whatever. But they can't do anything. Even if they can come and try and interfere with you when you're in your other mind space or whatever, you know. Some of them, I don't think they have all those abilities. And then some, you know, are like these skinwalkers or these loose eaters or whatever. But this morning it was weird because it was like, I don't even know how to explain. It was weird because it was almost like they were stick figures, but they were really big. But they moved really quick, and I don't know how to explain it. It was weird. I was like, I've seen some weird shit lately, like in the past couple of years, man. Ever since, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I've always seen weird shit, but like there's just more weird shit happening. So there's just so much more weird shit all the time. And things that like the veil is there, like everything is so much more present. And so, anyways, but I do think that it is, you know, even when things, like I think I'm doing something for somebody, there's always something for you. Like when these things come in. And so it's always, I mean, for me, there's so much that has gone on in my healing that has been pushing me to set boundaries for myself. And a lot of it to me seems as just recognizing yourself and stuff like that. Because, I mean, it's a choice in some cases of how passive you want to be, like walk the path of Jesus or Buddha or, you know, these other passive, like I've always gotten that. Like, that's what I'm saying. From the time I was young, I totally got that concept. I would rather walk the path of passivity than walk the path of aggression or manipulation. Like, if somebody wants to come and push up on me, I can't lower myself to come to a place where I don't feel comfortable. So that is a frequency like I don't want to lower myself to, because I can recognize. But it's like some of this, what's happening, I think, is so some people can recognize it. Like, some people, it's like so strange of what they're comfortable with and what they're not comfortable with. Like, it's very strange. But this was really got me going this morning. I was so excited about this thing. It was so cool how this guy explained it. And he was saying, so he said, when he was younger, and he said, I'm Mexican, and so when I was younger, I became friends with this kid at school, and I thought he was Mexican too. And so I went over to his house, and his mom came and started bringing me some bread, and she kept talking to me, but I didn't know what she was saying. And so I was really confused because I thought they were Mexican. And I was asking him, like, you know, why don't I understand what your mom said? I thought y'all were Mexican. And he said, no, I'm Guatemalan. And he said, isn't Guatemala in Mexico? And he goes, no, Guatemala is Guatemala. And he goes, well, still, don't you speak Spanish or Mexican or whatever? I think it's just Spanish. I think Spain is the same thing, like Latin. I think most Latin countries speak, because the Spaniards would have been the first ones that went out. So I think I don't know, this whole little tribe thing, like, it's really on my mind a lot. And so he said that when so he asked the guy, like, and the guy said, Guatemala is its own thing. And he's like, well, why can't I understand her? And he said, because we also speak Maya. And so Mayan ancient, you know, language. And see, that is part of the thing, is what, that's why they came up with this controlled language, even a spell setting language, like the way that we set spells on ourselves by using their words is, it's, you know, it's all done on purpose. Everything is on purpose. It's so crazy too, because you see people waking up and they're like, but I don't think it's on purpose. I think this is just by accident. Everything is poison. I don't think they did it on purpose. Oh, Lord. Fucking Stockholm Syndrome, dude. So then, I gotta go back on what I was talking about now. Okay, so then he said that, you know, it just was that went into like the food bank, you know, like where he became a reference material. And so then later on, he was a waiter in a restaurant, and he went up to this table. It was 5 Native American guys, and he said, you know, to get their order or whatever. And so they said, hey, what tribe are you from? And he's like, no, I'm Mexican. And he goes, yeah, but what tribe? And he goes, you know, and just walked off. And he was like, man, what do these guys not understand what I mean when I say Mexican? I'm not Native American. And so he's thinking these guys just foolish or something. And so then he goes on, what was the next thing that happened? Because it was when he realized it was somehow, and it could have been from these guys' conversation, but it was another trigger that happened. It seemed, and all of a sudden he realized that, oh, we are all, I mean, if you want to say Native American, to me it's just indigenous, because, you know, they created the map, they created the spaces. They did that, you know, so they just divided the people up, they divided the tribes up. And then so he said there what they did is and I guess here, I mean, they still call them like Native Americans. Like, they don't call them there like Native Mexicans, but they but when you go into, because Mexico's one of my favorite places, and I've gone into some small villages and stuff, and I've talked about this before, I'm sure, and tiny, tiny people, and they are all tribe people. They still have like the Navajo tribes and stuff there, but so he was, you know, a younger city person and stuff, and so there was something else, and he just started really understanding about his roots, because it was somebody else said something, I think, about his roots, or it was a conversation, something. There was another trigger that happened. But when he started realizing, like, oh, so they just took us. They said, now you live in Mexico. You're called a Mexican. You only can speak Spanish. And so they weren't allowed to speak their own languages and stuff. And then when you go there, and what is... you know, that like those tribes, which, you know, maybe they're more broken up even now. Maybe they're even more pushed out, because a lot of them, you know, you go in those little villages and they'd be in there like making tortillas and you know, doing all these things by hand, like, you know, like basket weaving and stuff. So yeah, I don't know, you know, who knows what they're doing in some of these other places, because, you know, they're trying to destroy everything that people come from, the culture, everyone's culture. They're just trying to make this cesspool of like, you have no identity, you have no background, you're just, you know, you don't even know if you're a boy or a girl. Like like this stuff is so so crazy. And what people will accept. Like, oh my gosh. And I just saw this other parent just really pissed off. I've seen so many in there speaking before the boards about the library books, and some of the stuff like I've heard that are in their books. It's like, oh my God, I sure the hell wasn't those kind of books in the library when I was a kid. You know, we would all have those books over there in the corner. Everybody would have been looking at them and snickering and stuff like that. And gross. Like, man, what they put kids through, like, just like it's just normal, just sex. I saw this lady talking about like even 3-year-olds can give consent if that's what they really want, and they seem like that they know what they want. These people are so fucking sick. Like, why do you want a... What is wrong with you people? Like, seriously. And this other woman, he keeps exposing more and more of these fucking people with their kids. Oh my God. Like, they seriously, they fucking have... oh my God, they sell private video. I mean... Yeah, to me it seems against the law. Like, you are fucking pimping your child out. Like, this society is so fucking warped. But another video thing I keep seeing, like, there was some school that had a whole drag show come to the school without the parents' knowledge, and apparently the stripper was very strippery. Like, I don't, man. And, God. And she was telling us, all the people on the board, like, y'all are groomers. Like, this is sick. Y'all are sick. And so many more stories, people pulling their kids out of school and stuff. People are seeing, everything has got to come to the surface. Everybody's got to keep seeing. But anyways, so this guy was just talking about how, that they had taken all of the people and said they weren't allowed to speak their own language. They were called Mexicans. And it's weird how, like, when they did all this stuff and how many people, because he said, like, he doesn't even know his own, cool. And the whole thing with the language, see, because they don't want these people speaking their own language because they don't know what they're speaking. Even, I mean, they've always been dependent on translators with the tribes, and so they had to force the common language. And so it's all been about manipulation. And even when I just hearing him saying that and then just realizing, like, oh my God, that is so fucking true. You just went and you took all these people and just told them, you live in Mexico now, you're Mexican, you have to speak Spanish. It's like, oh my God. And how many of these tribes were, lost and divided with this war for territory? And, and it's always been the crown and stuff, like the Spaniards coming in here, the English coming in here, and then them, sending out their foot soldiers to go out, and then the war and the chaos they created between the settlers and the Indians, and and how long the Indians had lived, basically, like, in most, I mean, I think there was some fighting, but most of them didn't just sit in war. They weren't trying to fight for territory, I don't think, as much. Like, there could have been at some point in time, like, but even the stuff, like, our things are from their stories, like, their movies, and everything has been about programming, and people really don't understand about programming, like. And even in the comments, that lady with the hair thing, so many people were outraged. Like, how dare somebody? And it's just so weird. Like, when you don't go out and you're not being triggered, and you can have a real conversation with somebody, and probably, there will be something that will trigger me. I mean, that's just the way it is, and I'll just recognize it for a trigger, and I'll try and go in and see, like, why did that bother me? What in the world is that bringing up for me? Because that is the whole thing, is letting it come up and releasing it. But, it's not what people are ready to do yet or something. And I wish things would go faster too. Like, God damn. I cannot believe how slow this goes. Like, this morning I was watching, there was some live, and it was, I think it looked like, and it could have been another big city, but it looked like somebody had a live camera going, looking down, like, on Times Square or something, and just all these people walking around and walking around, and it just all of a sudden was like, oh my gosh, that is just gonna, all of a sudden, it's gonna be just something's gonna come in, and it's just gonna be sudden like that. Like, I think it's gonna be without warning. I think people are going to just be there walking around, and then it's just going to all of a sudden, there's more people, when you go in and listen to, like, the people get really into, I don't know, there's, like, conspiracy, and then there's fear conspiracy. It's very doomsday, like, it's the end, people, it's the end. And to me, it's the end of what we don't want and the beginning of what we do want. And that was one of the things I was kind of being snippy with my guys this morning. It's like, oh my God, like It just seems like a thing sometimes when you feel like you've been doing all of the things and healing and working on yourself and doing all of this stuff, and then but then you see other people who just begin and everything just starts going in place, and it's like, this is so strange. Even like this morning, you know, when I go in, you know, and look at my accounts or whatever, and it's like, you know, there's a whopping 15, like this is over 2 years. And so, and especially, you know, I mean, the other thing is when I see other people who are talking about the same things I'm talking about, and it's like 10,000 views on one thing, 50,000, it's like, no. So it could just be super frustrating, you know, like I've said a bunch of times. And so this morning I was feeling that way and feeling like, man, these people, it just seem like, you know, they just start and it's like everything falls into place. It's like, am I doing something wrong here? Am I missing something? Do I just have like a lot of some bullshit I gotta get into balance? And you know, the only thing is, you know, they just taught me a lot of stuff to heal. I got a lot of years. But, and they told me more stuff like the reason, the purpose, blah, blah, blah. But still, you know, it's frustrating when it seems like, you know, things just go so easy for some people when, you know, everything starts falling into place so quick. Like, man. But, so this morning, you know, I was kind of feeling just like, it's just like, trudging through mud up to my knees or something. That's what it feels like sometimes. And just, you know, I mean, there's a lot of energies around here right now that's just exhausting. You know, it's draining kind of stuff, you know, so, but the, no, what did I just get lost again on that? But the, let's see, draining energy, what was I talking about? I'm trying to look around inside my head. I always wonder, like, if my eyes look different when I'm looking outside and when I'm looking inside, if what it looks like on the screen, if you can tell, or if my eyes just look the same, if it just looks like I'm staring into space. You know, I don't know. But there was something I was trying to say about what they were telling me. And I don't know. It'll come to me, I guess, in a second. But I saw somebody live in Texas, and they said the roads are slippery and there's still ice on some bridges, but it's way better. But just the whole slippery thing, even this really fucking pisses me off too, because you know, I go take a shower, wash my hair, get out, and it's like a fucking oil slick in my hair. It's like, what in the God? And then you have to put the powder in your hair to try and absorb the oil, and then and it will. It's like I feel like I need to use a degreaser or something to wash my hair, but it is whatever. I don't know what is on it. It's some sort of chemical. The way my hair feels and everything. But what pisses me off even more than this constant poisoning is, you know, in the water company and their bullshit. And I already said about their fucking price gouging. And so the other day, you know, they come out and they go to hang something on my gate. And I walked out there and I said, what is that? And he said, you have a leak. And he said, we came and read the meters and you have a leak. And I said, he goes, maybe you have a change in water pressure? I said, no. And the only thing is the hose from months and months ago, when the first ice storm thing came, it knocked my spigot thing or whatever, and so it's dripping. It's just dripping. It's not like pouring water out. And so this bill that they just gave me is more than double. $365 for water in their motherfucking soup. It's absurd. I swear to God, this shit. It's such, it's so frustrating. And, but that is going to be the thing. I just can't wait till they fucking all crash and burn. You know, I'll tell you another thing too is going to be because I had said something about all of the trucks and the houses and the storms. And like, people don't think things through. I swear to God. And then anybody who does, it's like, are you magic? It's like, no. I don't understand how people's minds work. I don't get it. So, anyways, I said that the insurance companies are not going to be paying all this. The insurance companies are going to go bankrupt. That's the fall of that industry. The exposure of like, yeah, a big old pyramid scheme, and it didn't work out. Like, so the whole thing's going to collapse. And then the forcing us to constantly have these licenses and insurance. You got to have license, you got to have insurance, you got to have license, you got to have, everything. There's just constantly more and more. And somebody else I saw talking about that they're going into rural communities because they're not stopping on the rural communities. They want us in these motherfucking cubicle cities. That they're coming in and doing this building. What I say, they're coming doing this, and this whole thing with Whatcom sent us this whole letter out. So what they're doing is changing the zoning, and in this changing the zoning so that they can get this in because these developed places are suddenly going in. All these subdivisions are suddenly going in, what I talked about. So when they go in and they're doing that, they're changing the zoning. And in the writing, while they're changing it to a P or something. Like you have to have a permit for this, permit for that, and all this stuff. Which I was already know I had to have a permit for, the HOA. When I put my fence in, it was like, like you can't, it's not even a fucking permanent, like it's a goddamn farm fence. Like, fuck off with this shit. Controlling motherfuckers. You can't get the goddamn house at the end of the street to clean up, but you're gonna harass these people. So, it's the same people in the HOAs and the water, all of it. It's like they're real comfortable, pushing others to, I don't know, unless you are way out there, if you're a total pigsty, then, well, what can we do? We've gone to court, we've got this, we don't, but we need to, you need a permit to have a deck, you need a permit to have a board, you need a permit. It's like, fuck off, fuck you. And so they're putting these in, so in their small print, in these new things that they're rezoning, is so that they can say, in a climate emergency, if we need to take your property, it's ours. The government can do that now. The government can take anything of yours because it's up to them, because it's a climate crisis. So that's just part of the, hurting us out. It'll be, and no telling. There's absolutely, like, how far does this even have to go? And, what is their next step? And I'm in Washington State, so, it's all in on that one. Like, Hensley's been, paid handsomely for whatever's going on here. But, so, we are going to, and we've got the evacuation situation. I don't know what's going to go down. But, some of these things it's going to be so sudden, too. Like in New York, in here, I think there's going to be some sun. But so these people who are more on the doomsday conspiracy stuff, like, they're on top. They're a watchdog and shit. And so we've got ships and stuff. Like, this is a weird thing, and I'm sure a lot of everybody already saw this. But this fucking Chinese balloon thing going over the White House or whatever, and then Biden saying, "Oh yeah, it's no big deal, just leave it. We're not worried." When everybody's like, it's a spy thing, they're watching us or whatever the hell they're doing, which, it's probably like a big drill, like watching so that they know where to hit, where to strike, no telling. They're really into watching. I saw a thing like, because by 2016, they already had up like, oh my gosh, the video that I had seen, which sounds so dystopian, where you're like, oh my gosh, this is happening. This was theirs in 2016. So they've already gone through so much of this stuff. Like, they already are not allowed to travel. They already, and they have the half their society convinced, like, yeah, well, these people need to be monitored. They can't travel. They've already got all sorts of restrictions. There's tons of people who are allowed to travel by plane, by train. Like, it's mental. And so, I mean, that's right where they're headed. And then they're coming here in some sort of created disaster, I think, because they're not going to sit around waiting for one. And so if we got Russian ships out on the side on both coasts, and then oh yeah, I said that about Joe said don't worry about it, and that's in a press conference or something. So, but everything has got to be that absurd. Everything has got to be like to get people to question things. So it's got to be less. For anybody who's awake, it's just like frustrating, man. It's like, Jesus Christ, this shit is dumb as fuck. Like, ugh. But the what I had heard 2 years ago, the Chinese army was waiting on the other side of this border, ready to march. So I've got that. Like, I'm very boxed in where I'm at. And then that they're coming in and doing this so that they can, just say, well, we now own this area. It's a dangerous area. We need you all to move into this area, this location. They start trying to move us into Seattle or something like that. No way. No way am I going that direction. I mean, I hope the weather starts getting better soon. My daughter said that it was supposed to start getting better in a couple weeks, because then if the evacuation, I'll go out across the mountains, like, if you can even get down there. Like, I don't know. There's no freaking way I'm being herded anywhere into where they want. All they want to do is get us into the camps. Once they've weeded through that people, and gotten rid of as many as they can out of that situation, and the sick, and then they would then the productive ones, they can go into the 15-minute new, like, now we've got this climate control under control, but we've got to monitor things closely. You're only allowed this much food per person, this much water per person, but you can have fake plants, you can have fake pets, like, there's no real nature. I don't know. And then I think what they're doing too is in like a beautiful tropical place or something, where you would get like your one opportunity, and probably they'll do it by lottery, and we all have to pay $5,000. We all save, because that's already going on in Australia. You have to save up to do a lottery to see if you get picked to go, and then you get to pay for your elaborate vacation to the beach line or beach containment center, and then you get to go there and pay top dollar so that you can be out in a place that has more nature on beach. And they'd have a whole thing about like why it's okay, because we've contained this one small area of ocean, we've gotten rid of the radiation. Like, all their stuff is so fucking absurd and such bullshit, and I can't even believe people fucking believe it. And but I have seen more people now starting to realize, like, there's questionable ethics behind science. Like, I mean, people, like, there's no getting away from it. People's minds will start, once it starts opening, there's no choice. It's going to keep opening. It can't close back. It's impossible, no matter how much people try and block it or whatever. And, it starts opening, and it's a go. And you're going to just keep seeing more and more and more and more and more. And, it continues to develop you as an individual, too. Like, it's, like, some of this stuff, like, totally trips me out. Like, the things for me, personally, that have, like, been changing and stuff through my awakening, I don't know, I to the point where I feel like, it's going to feel like we're going to be superheroes or something when we learn all about what we can do and stuff like that, because it's far beyond what we can even understand. It's so weird to just think of like how the, like you're in a simulation, but it's manipulated, and the people get tricked by it, but they're not even really here. Like this video this guy did was so fucking, it was so good. And he has some channel and stuff too, but he was talking about, like, he was trying to do like a little skit, and so he played both characters, and it was like a soul saying that they wanted to go down and have an earth experience, and he was telling them, okay, and I can't remember, man, I can't remember the whole way that he was explaining it, but it was the same, stuff as I was talking about. But then, so when he had said it, then he hands the guy this headset and tells him, to go in and, now he's in it, but you can't get, man, I'm totally drawing a blank. See, I can't repeat other people's stuff. I swear to God, I can only say my own stuff. But it was really cool how he said it, how he explained it. And, but it's the same thing as what I always say, because it is, we're in this video game, and it is our higher selves are the player. We are the sim character. We are the avatar. And so, but it trips me out, though, is because the, depending on how high you go to your higher self can be multiple different people. And so then it is, the identity of Kelly. Does Kelly have her own higher self, or is Kelly sharing a higher self with a whole group of people? Like, which higher self am I talking to? Am I talking to myself that is just more advanced, that is helping me along the path? Or am I talking to the oversoul, the overlord, the soul that is the higher self that is in multiple incarnations at once? So I don't know. I find that just kind of interesting. But the whole concept of whoever the player is, you project in. It's just like you pick an avatar, you pick your parent. It's like the Sims game. I know I didn't play the Sims game. My kids did, and they would show me things a lot of times. But you pick your parents, you pick like the template, like this lesson plan or whatever. You pick your script, and you pick your role. And what's trippy is like you are playing so many different roles for so many different people. You're not even in just one role. And so you come into the game, and then when you come in, you forget who you were. That's one of the things he was talking about too. You forget who you are. You forget you're playing a game. And then you have all of these challenges that are constantly coming at you to make you try and figure out who you are. And, if you don't connect to your higher self, you're going to keep going through all of these struggles. When you connect to your higher self and you start, it's another level of the game. The whole game changes. It is, you're not playing the same game. Like that woman's experience at the DMB, very different experience than my experience would have been. And so it is a complete changing levels. So there's a purpose to your healing, because you level up. You grow more tools, more weapons, more, because you become stronger. And it's not because you've caged yourself in behind a wall of protection. It's because you have figured out how to arm yourself with the power of a shield and an armor, so that you can't be penetrated by others' beliefs or thoughts or their perspective. And it's so crazy too, because there's all these different sides of everything. Because there is a side where you do want feedback, like, we all want feedback. And that was the thing this morning on my TikTok, where the person came in, and the first comment I saw this morning was, I really like your videos. And I was like, oh my gosh, you don't know how badly I needed to hear that. Like, it's sometimes to just try and keep yourself going in this negative kind of situation is hard. And then I don't know if somebody had seen that I had said that to them or whatever, because then they came in and they said how much they like my videos, and they've gone in and watched all my videos. They always watch my videos. And I've had a lot of people say that, but it was just, funny. Well, it's not funny. Like, I swear to God, sometimes I think like I could just sit and tell, synchronicities all day long. I could sit and tell, all of this stuff. But the crazy thing is somebody else won't hear what I hear, because your messages are to you. It's like, inside, internally, when there's a message that is to you. So, but the amount of crazy scene, like yesterday, this one was really cool too. Because I looked down at my phone, and you got to notice too, like what you're thinking about when these things happen, because then it kind of gives you, to me, mostly when you get that number of things, it always seems like it's some sort of confirmation, like, like, yeah, yeah. And so whatever I was talking or thinking about, I'm pretty sure I know what it was. But anyways, so I did something on my phone, and it said 1, 2, 3, 4. And I see that one a lot, and whenever you see that 1, 2, 3, 4, it's like, oh my gosh, everything's just lining up. And right as I thought that, it said 5. And so it went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So right at the moment I thought, that's crazy. It's totally lining up. And then it said 5. And then I was like, oh my gosh, you guys are so tricky. And then without even thinking about it, I was acknowledging that, and I turned the other direction, and my eye caught the stove clock, and it did the exact same thing. It was 1, 2, 3, 4. And then right when I acknowledged it, it said 5. I was like, oh my God, you guys are smooth movers, aren't you? Because they are always speaking to you in these number patterns and stuff like that. And so you can kind of tell. And, there's people who say they translate the number patterns and stuff like that. I just go with whatever I'm feeling, whatever the message feels like to me that they're saying. Because usually it's in a conversation, like when that stuff happens. But oh my gosh, the amount of synchronicities and stuff, like, I mean, where the TV is saying the same word as what's being said in my head at the same time, like it's so crazy. So anyways, all those patterns though are just things to start being aware of, because the universe is in constant communication with us. I don't know. I'm just, yeah, as some of this stuff goes on, it just weirds me out how some people's minds, like, are just, they're very different. Like, I mean, I don't know. This is a very strange thing to experience, just seeing people's perception and seeing how comfortable people are. Like, people are comfortable with division, and comfortable with blame, and comfortable with being a victim, comfortable with feeling sorry for themselves. There's a lot that has to change. And, there's a lot that won't, that didn't come here to change. It came here just to go through the other stuff. So anyways, here we are, another day, another waiting for, something big to happen. And I don't know, maybe there is some big stuff happening, hopefully. I mean, I know it's not stopping, but geez, I can't even believe every time you think like, okay, this is it. And it just like drags on and on and on and on. It's like, oh my gosh. But I still, like, I no matter how much. Oh, and today I thought this was really cool, because it's 232023. So the day is 232023. I don't know, I thought that was cool. And So anyways, I just feel like everything is going, this is our year. Like things are going to change. Oh, that's what it was. Okay, yeah, I got to finish with this one. Because what was blowing my mind is that the people in the comments, when I was talking about all these wrecks, like when I was seeing the pileups and all the fucking, oh my God, I know they did that on purpose too. Like to get all those trucks. I know it. Like get all these trucks on the road out making the, because whatever happened about this whole diesel shortage thing. So, you know, they just keep wanting to, you know, take everything down. So now they got all these diesel trucks or 18-wheelers wrecked like all over the place, a whole bunch of them, and those are expensive, like the insurance and stuff. And then like I don't even know all this stuff, like that's your business, that's days lost of work, like those are big insurance claims, I think. And so, and then all these full-on loss of homes and stuff, even with the buyers. This is really bright. I don't know, sometimes let's see what I will put up with. Is it still? Oh, I have it on the darkest. So anyways, in the comments though, where all these people were like, I said the insurance companies are gonna go bankrupt. Like they're not paying this shit out. There's way too many claims. Are you kidding me? And all these people, even some truckers, were like, well, they better pay. And like they're not gonna. So anyways, that is where I was like, oh, so insurance companies will go ablaze. There'll be some insurance companies that are gonna be going ablaze, just like pharmacies. I mean, grocery. I mean, all these different things. You know, depending on the area and who's affected and all of that. There's going to be all sorts of, you know, stuff. But insurance companies, yeah, they're going to be failing people hard here real quick. And I think that we're just probably not seeing as many as that are probably happening. But I'm sure tons of people are turning in claims and they're just being drug and drug and drug. And because there's no money. They were only, there was only a certain amount in the money laundering. That's why all these other countries can come in now and push hard on the, no, we don't want the dollar. Y'all have no value. And we have value now and you guys don't. And where the people, there's a lot of people in America, a lot of citizens that need to recognize the truth. There is this woman. This to me, I was like, is this for real? Like, is this chick for real? She's very, you know, I mean, very stereotypical progressive lesbian looking, like just get your own image. And so she was saying the whole video is like, we all need to put our hand on our hearts. And we need to really feel this space of racism because it's our fault that Tyree was killed. And it was this whole long thing about, it's like, what the hell with these people? Like, how do they, oh my God. And then she goes on the systemic racism or, you know, I mean, we've even got black people that hate black people somewhere. Like, it's all our fault. Like that. It's like, well, I kind of think it's each individual person. And, you know, I even did a video the other day saying, you know, because to me, racism doesn't exist unlike the way people think it exists. Racism is your own bias, and it can be any kind of bigoted thing. I mean, it can be ageism. It can be, I mean, you've got all these genderisms going on. So there's so much division and all of these different aspects or avenues, and, you know, that, but those come from within. You can't, like, I can't feed those because I don't carry that inside of me. I don't have those biases, so I don't carry that. So I can look at it and say, no, racism isn't real. Like, it's the people who carry the biases. Yeah, I can acknowledge there's a lot of people who have a lot of biases, but you can't just pick on one and say it's just these ones that focus on race, because this chick is just focusing on race. Like, I mean, they're all so focused on race. They're all so focused on gender. It's them that bring this hyper focus to this shit because it's coming from within them. And it's like, come on, people, wake up and recognize where this is coming from. And then they get so mad, like at you, if you don't acknowledge their racism. It's like, okay, I get that you're hyper-focused on race and it makes a difference to you, but that's not how we all are, Some of us don't think about that kind of thing when we think about, like, what's going on with people. Like, to me, what's happening with someone who's brown is just as significant as what's happening to somebody who's white, especially to me. Like, I mean, we all come from, the white people, lab rat people, like, there's some kind of something in us. It has to be from something here. Like, I don't know, maybe all of our DNA is from somewhere else. Like, I don't know. Because all the original people here are definitely brown and tribe people. So yeah, this whole white thing, and I just wonder, like, in the way they moved them around, I don't know. You start like thinking about, like, where they put them, and then get them to focus on this and kill half of them. Like, okay, well, we don't like the Protestants. Well, we don't like the Catholics. Well, let's kill those people. Let's do, like, I don't know. The history of white people isn't very, great either. I get that the white people were often used as the super soldiers to go out there and defeat the dark people that they were trying to defeat. That wasn't me. I wasn't riding that horse. So, I'm not going to take responsibility for that, what happened. And I think it's strange for people to be so stuck on that stuff. Like, we're here. We're now. Where are we headed? Do we want to just continue this focus on the differences? Just like that woman. Like, she can't wrap her head around genocide of the human race? Like, what? Oh, man. I don't know. I don't know. Just gotta keep watching how this plays out. Well, this is a doozy. Let's just see what happens next. I don't know. Hopefully something good. I don't know. Talk to you later. Bye.